Wasteland is the new open-world action game from Namco about driving a tank through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And also the really nice forests that are right next door to the wasteland, and I'm not sure why everyone doesn't just move there. When I found out this game existed, I was incredibly excited. As I talk about all the time in my Girls and Panzer streams, literally all I want is a game about using a tank to kill giant monsters. Like, that's why I play video games, in the hopes that that's eventually gonna happen. So when I saw Ilka was developing the Sandland, I was a little worried, due to their previous game being a one-piece RPG. I was not in the mood for another Metal Max Xeno, which takes the best premise in the world, driving a tank around a post-apocalyptic wasteland and fighting monsters, and strips all the fun out of it by using RPG turn-based combat. Side note, how much of a heartbreaker was Metal Max Xeno Reborn? The developers were like, yes, we know we screwed up by having RPG combat instead of what people wanted, but we'll do it right this time. And then it was just RPG turn-based combat, but you get to drive around while waiting for your turn? What the hell was that? Anyway, the point is, Ilka learned from Metal Max's mistakes and made the tank action game we've been waiting for. And you should absolutely buy it right now. Not convinced yet? Here's a bunch of reasons to get you to pull the trigger. Wait, do tank cannons have triggers? Or do you like press a button or pull a lever to fire them? I should check on that.
He switches to 75 off manual safety and steps on the foot pedal that fires the big gun mechanically. The click of the firing pin tells him the mechanical control is working.
The wasteland is full of dinosaurs and goons, all just waiting to be blasted with tank cannons or riddled with machine gun bullets. The feel of combat is tuned so perfectly that I was able to play this thing for dozens of hours and never tired of watching cannon shells whomp dinosaurs. Or if you want a little variety, just run them over. What are they gonna do about it? You're in a tank. There's just so many vehicle types. Tanks are obviously the best. There's jump bots you can use to climb mountains and fire grenades at people. Cars that drag around missile launchers and Gatling guns. Battle droids for when you want to punch something with a giant fist. Motorcycles for zipping quickly around the map. And hovercraft for flying over water. Every vehicle type comes with a variety of weapons and options, letting the player tune them practically any way they want. Although, really, you mostly want to stick to tanks because, again, they're literally tanks. A bunch of characters in the game have ridiculous Toriyama names, because Toriyama loves giving every character he can a deeply silly name. There's Commander Bread, King Jam, Battleship Lizab, which is just Basil spelled backwards, and most importantly, famous actress Sexy Terrier. We come to Toriyama products for the bonkers names, and the game does not disappoint. In so many games, you play through the whole thing trying to get the best possible weapons, only to find out that when you get them, it's just a different colored sword that does a higher number of damage points. Not so in Sandland, though. The endgame weapons you can pick up are magnificent. Whether you're talking about an attachment that fires a cloud of missiles, calling down an orbital strike,
one down.
Or just using a beam weapon to wipe out everything in a straight line for a few hundred meters. These things are worth playing 50 hours to get. Also, they recharge quickly enough that they're useful in boss fights. What more could you ask for?
Nah, forget it! Let me handle this!
Yes, it's a game set in a sandy wasteland, but there's still a hovercraft versus Kraken fight. Is this in the game just because the developers previously made a One Piece game? Probably not, but that's what I'm choosing to believe, and I love it.
When he snaps and unleashes the power of darkness, you'll learn the meaning of fear.
This is what we come to Toriyama content for. We want an iconic moment where the hero's getting brutally beaten and they channel all of their inner strength to access a new level of power. And then just rock their opponent. And this happens twice in the game. Although obviously I'm not going to show you the second one because it's a huge spoiler. This is kind of a downer, yes, but we recently lost to Curatorium, a famous creator of Mr. Slump and Tobal No. 1, which means that this may well be the last original video game that he worked on, unless he was deep into another Dragon Quest, which is entirely possible. Now, pedants may say that this isn't an original video game since it was based on a manga, but the manga content is only the first third of the game, and he wrote an entire second and third act of the story for both the game and the accompanying anime series. The man was an incredible talent, and this game is a masterpiece that he should be proud to be remembered for.
Epi. You.
This is the villainous Epi, and yes, his name is an anagram for pie. He has the bad luck to be standing in the quarry where the Death Star was buried, so when the game's villain excitedly decides to test out the Death Star beam, he gets wiped out in a wrong place, wrong time type of situation, making him the only one of the game's main villains to be killed on screen.
Hey, Dad?
Beelzebub's father, Lucifer, spends the whole game hanging out in his room, reading a book that seems tiny, but is actually normal-sized. It's just that he's 20 feet tall. At any point, he could just deal with every threat, but he's completely unconcerned with what humans are up to, so he just doesn't bother. The main villain is literally motivated by the fact that Lucifer was able to crush him without breaking a sweat, and he only ever sidelines Lucifer via trickery. Remember the Cybermen? The enemies from Dragon Ball Z that the Saiyans plant in the ground, and if it looks like they're going to lose, they self-destruct? Yeah, they're back in this as insect men, who also kind of look like Cell. They're the climactic foe of the first third of the story, and they trigger Bells' Dragon Ball power-up, so it all ties together very nicely.
The Anne that I know is stubborn, a sore loser, and a crybaby.
You never would go easy on me back when we'd play games together.
Oh, I would. You were just so weak that you've still lost.
Savage. Just savage. Like the idea of building a town in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but profoundly bored by architecture and the minutiae of designing aquifers? Sandland has got you covered. Unlike a certain Fallout 4, which makes you design everything yourself, Sandland lets you recruit characters and has them worry about actually building the town. All you have to do is gather a community and watch it grow, which is way more satisfying than doing all the minutiae yourself.
Watch your step, or you're gonna end up tumbling down!
Come on! I'm not that clumsy!
Look, it's right there! Obviously, it's only there for a brief period of the game, from it launching to, getting spoilered right at the end, but still, it's cool as hell that they put it there for you to look at. Sandland is a delight from beginning to end. Okay, that's not entirely true. Some of the Forestland stuff drags a little because the environment, while gorgeous, isn't really suited for traversal by the types of vehicles that the game has to offer. It's worth powering through, though, because the last 2 hours have some of the best action in the entire game. And the whole climax of the story, from the appearance of the Death Star right through to the credits, is basically perfect. This is completely a 9 out of 10 game. So if you're looking for a score, that's it. Oh, and one final thing. When you jump off a motorcycle while it's going full speed, this happens. As you can imagine, this is the only way I dismounted motorcycles for the entire game. God bless you, the game Sandland. I've been the Hidden Object Guru, and this was my review of Sandland, a game you need to buy right now. I just played Sandland for 60 hours, so obviously I'm a big fan. Now if we can just get the same developers to make a game where the girls in Panzer get pulled through some kind of a dimensional warp into Sandland, or some kind of related future place full of killer robots, then literally all of my dreams will be coming true at the same time. Anyway, join me back here for more reviews and other video game content. There's buttons down below so you can find those videos when they come up. Comment, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. I'll see you back here for more, but until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.